And I'm here to tell you that at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, their treatments work when the pills and herbals fail you. They have treatments with success rates well over 90%. And some of these treatments can have you last an hour or even more. So all I want you to do is schedule a consult with Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today. Your initial visit is only $99, which I know a lot of you out there have. And once you pay that $99, all right, you're going to get a medical consult with a Colorado licensed medical provider, a TMPSA test, and if medically advised, a test dose. And gentlemen, if the test dose does not work in the office, the visit is free. They also have 5 locations out there to serve you, so there are no excuses. Go get treated. You can go to Fort Collins, North Denver, Central Denver, Castle Rock, and Colorado Springs. So give them a call today at 720-440-7900 or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Everybody loves the season of giving, but now the season of paying for it is upon us. That not-so-wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, stare in horror at the balance, and resolve then and there to find new ways to save money. If you're among those Americans, why not start by cutting your wireless bill in half right now with Pure Talk's Saver Plan? It's easy. You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast, nationwide 5G network for just $20 a month. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Ho, ho, ho! And if you're active or former military or a first responder, you'll save an additional 20% every single month. That's pound 250. Say Mike Rowe for the gift that keeps on saving from America's wireless company. Pure Talk.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-897-4400. That's 800-897-4400.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Rain on game day doesn't faze Dave. He's already got his poncho. Just needs to do something about those wipers. So Dave heads to AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone,
where a friendly AutoZoner helps him get premium quiet wipers and some hand warmers.
You're all set.
Now, if only his team can handle the elements as well as his new wipers. Get wipers, glass cleaner, and more with no hassles, just help at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon.
Hello?
You won't believe where I am.
Are you running?
Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel?
I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with AutoPay, plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabyte, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence Data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Zach here. The holidays will be here before you know it, and for many families, that means excitement, but also stress. Between gifts, travel, and higher prices, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're already relying on credit cards to cover the basics. If that debt is piling up, you're not alone. If you're a homeowner, you might have considered reaching out to my friends at American Financing, but hesitated because you don't want to give up your low mortgage rate. That's why American Financing created the Smart Equity Loan, a simple, smart way to get your finances back on track without giving up your low mortgage rate. Unlike a HELOC, which can fluctuate with the market, the Smart Equity Loan offers a fixed rate, so you'll have one predictable monthly payment. It lets you use your home's equity to pay off high-interest debt, free up cash flow, and still keep your existing mortgage intact. There are no upfront fees to find out if you qualify. Call American Financing at 303-695-7000 or visit them online at americanfinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
KKFN
and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver.
You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. It's a Bud Light Football Friday. Bud Light, an official beer sponsor of the Denver Broncos. Here's Denver Sports Tonight.
Getting you to the end of the week and into the weekend. It is Denver Sports Tonight. Mike Bryce, Dante Gomez, DG, good to see you again. Kind of a different 2 weeks with all the holidays, Christmas and New Year's in the middle of the week. I hope your New Year's was great.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well, Mike. But yeah, it was a little weird. Just 2 holidays in the middle of the week kind of threw off. I mean, today feels like the most Monday thing, just because yesterday was day off. But
Right, it kind of does. But
I'll take it as a Friday, though.
Right, and with the football games yesterday, college football playoff games, we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. Of course, a lot to talk about with the Broncos and the NFL playoffs. Just an unbelievable time of year with all of these high stakes games, and it's not quite the playoffs yet in the NFL, but it kind of feels that way. And that's where we're going to start with the Broncos. I think of something that Sean Payton has said and alluded to, because we're all wondering, like, okay, what version of the Broncos are we going to see? I love how Zach and Phil were talking about that. And what will the Broncos look like? Will it be something similar to the Christmas night game against a depleted Chiefs team? Will it be maybe similar to last year's regular season finale against a Chiefs team that was sitting everybody because they had clinched everything they needed to clinch? But Sean Payton has basically said this is a playoff game. And I guess, Dante, you tell me if you subscribe to this. I don't think Sean's going to hold anything back. I think we are going to see a Broncos team that is not afraid to put it all on the Chargers, or at least try.
I think so, too. I think it'll resemble something that we saw in Week 18 last year when they took on the depleted Chiefs team who were resting players. They already had that 1 seed locked up. Similar to the situation they're in this year. Not quite the same stakes, because last year they're trying to get into the playoffs. This year they're trying to be that number 1 seed in the AFC. But I think that's also why they didn't celebrate winning the division. I think Sean was like, hey, let's go out, win one more, then it's time to celebrate. Then we get that week off. So I expect them to be pretty focused. There is something that I always believe in, that you can't manufacture competitiveness. You can't manufacture the hunger. So that does concern me a little bit. If maybe this Broncos team doesn't come out with the most focus because they kind of realize, hey, we have this thing pretty sewed up here. We're playing a bunch of backups. We should go out there and cruise to a win. But in the NFL, you can never have that mindset. You have to go out there and take it every single week.
Right. But what you just described has not been what the Broncos have shown by and large this year. They have not been a team that has rested on laurels. They have not been a team that has, at least in my estimation, that has said, we've accomplished what we want to accomplish, so we're going to take the foot off the gas pedal. They haven't always played great, so I don't want to confuse the two, but I don't think it's been an effort issue, and I don't think it's been a focus issue. A Jacksonville game, they got outplayed in the second half. It was not a good game, and I think hopefully we're going to find out in the playoffs if they learn their lessons from that. But you think it has been a team that's eased up a little bit?
I think from time to time they don't go in with the full focus that's necessary. I mean, you can point to the Giants' first half of that game. Obviously, that was not a very good half of football for them. The Eagles game, first half of that game wasn't very good offensively, at least. I thought defensively they held their own. And then you can point to the Las Vegas Thursday night game. That was a slugfest. That was a bad football product to watch on the field there. And then even last week's game, I guess, that Thursday night game against the Chiefs on Christmas night, I think that wasn't necessarily their best effort that we've seen them play with.
I would totally disagree with you on the Christmas night. I don't think that was an effort issue. I think that was a product of not scoring touchdowns in the red zone. And couple that with the Chiefs having a game plan to control tempo and limit possessions for both teams. That's where I would come down on that. Some of the other examples you gave, I completely get your point. Again, it's not about, for instance, the Giants game. I don't know that was so much a lack of focus as it was just not playing very well for 3 quarters. Eagles game, they didn't play very well offensively for 3 quarters. The Jets game didn't play very well offensively at all. I do believe, though, as we look at and think about what we think we're going to get from the Broncos, and the RamosLaw.com text line is open for you guys, 303-713-1043. I think we are going to get a Broncos offense that's a little bit more open than we saw on Christmas night. That's what my hunch is. Part of it is because I think Sean wants a better offensive output, and I think the guys do. And the other thing is there's some incentives involved, and I don't think the incentives will take precedence over winning the game and executing a game plan that ultimately contributes to a W. But I do think that they want to get Adam Troutman his money. They want to get Cortland Sutton the 100 yards receiving. Totally agree with the sentiment that Sean wants Bo to crack 4,000. And 210 yards is not a high bar to clear. Would you subscribe to the idea that the Broncos will be a little bit more open than they were against KC? And LA might have something to say about that defensively too.
Yes, no, I completely agree on that the Broncos offense, they're not going to hold anything back. It's not we're going to wait until the playoffs to really show off our book here. I think they're going to go out there with a purpose and try to score 28 in the first half. I think they're going to try to have this thing over by halftime and at least the third quarter, to the point where Jarrett Stidham's playing a majority of the fourth quarter. I think that's what Sean Payton dreams it up in his head, at least. And when he's painting that picture, it's Jarrett Stidham's playing, the entire of the fourth quarter. Some of the other starters are also resting at that point in the game. But again, that's not necessarily what's going to go out and happen, but I think that's what their goal is. And obviously, if you win this game, you get a week off. So that's a great pitch you can have to the players and to the coaching staff as well. Go out there, get this done, and then we get to rest for a week. We get to, recoup, maybe get some guys back from injury, and you get to assess as you go into that divisional round.
What's hard is that, is to try and figure out what the Chargers exactly are going to do. Are they going to rest every starter that they have, or by and large every starter? I don't know that Jim Harbaugh's announced that. I know that, at least last I heard, obviously Trey Lance isn't going to play. We know that much. But I would expect the Chargers to do something similar to what the Chiefs did offensively anyway, which is run the ball and try and get the game over with and get out of there healthy, because the Chargers are a playoff team. And even if it comes to depth pieces, they want to get out of that game healthy. Are they going to try and win? Yes. Are they going to treat it like a regular season game? Clearly not. Clearly not.
I think they might. Jim Harbaugh, I don't think he has a non-competitive bone in his body.
No, but typically he's going to try and run the football anyway.
Yes, he likes to lean into the run and be a run-first coach, an offensive coach particularly. And I think he believes in Trey Lance. Trey Lance looked pretty good in preseason. I watched a lot of those Chargers games. I wagered on a lot of those Chargers games, and Trey Lance looked pretty good for me. So I think he wants to let Trey Lance go out and see what he has in him.
On the RamosLaw.com text line, is focus linked to the product of football you put out on the field? I think yes. We need laser focus to set an example. I do want to see the Broncos play well, execute, and win handily. All three of those things. I do. Am I going to be freaked out if they don't do some combination of those? The only reason I would be more than a little concerned is if they didn't play well at all and they lost the game. But if they find a way to win and they secure the number 1 seed, it wouldn't surprise me at all, Dante, if they find a way to do it in a fashion that's a little bit more dramatic than any of us would like, because that's been the MO of this team from week 1. Do I want that? No, I don't want that. I don't want it at all. Do I think we're going to get that? No, I think they're going to play pretty well. I do, and I think they're going to win by more than 1 possession. Let's put it that way.
I would agree with that, and I think the defense is really going to show up. I think the defense has been getting their teeth kicked in a little bit the last couple weeks, and again, not necessarily with the amount of points Kansas City scored, but time of possession was pretty strong for them. They were able to move the ball on this Broncos defense that was supposed to be a top 1, 2, 3 unit in the NFL. So I think they've been hearing the criticism a little bit. I think they come out and have a very strong performance going into the playoffs, knowing that it is a backup quarterback, and maybe they can bait Trey Lance into a couple mistakes here and there throughout the game.
Yeah, I want to get back to I want to dive a little bit deeper on what you were responding to, on what we think the Chargers are going to do. Because what we saw out of Kansas City was, obviously, with a third-string quarterback going, conservative offense, run heavy, move the sticks as you can, and keep everything in front of them defensively, play that zone, and limit the Broncos' chances down the field through the air. Is that going to be something similar that we see out of L.A. on both sides of the ball?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we mentioned already, Jim Harbaugh loves to run the ball. He likes to lean on that physical offensive line they have. So I expect it to be running the ball and Trey Lance getting the ball out quickly. Don't have him hold on to the ball too long. I think that's the best friend of a young quarterback, and I'm still going to call Trey Lance a young quarterback. In terms of football age, didn't start a whole lot of games at North Dakota State. And then obviously hasn't started a lot of games in the NFL as well. So I think Jim Harbaugh is almost treating him as a rookie or second-year quarterback here. And I think he's going to get the ball out of his hands very quickly, have a lot of stuff schemed up, and then maybe take some shots here and there. But I think it's going to be a lot of that short passing game that we've seen. And the Colts did the same thing against the Broncos. They kind of laid the blueprint first in that, what was it, week 2 matchup where Daniel Jones, that thing was out faster. The Broncos pass rush couldn't get home because it was out so fast. And then obviously they leaned on the run game with Jonathan Taylor as well in that game. I don't think the Chargers will be able to do it to that level just because they don't have the same amount of talent they have in LA, but I expect it to be a similar game plan at least.
This sounds like a weird question, but given that Oludekin was a backup that they faced on Christmas night for the Chiefs, and Trey Lance is a backup, I have more respect for and more fear of, if it goes to that degree, Trey Lance, than I would with Oludekin and the Chiefs. So from that standpoint, while you're right, Lance isn't all that experienced with 5 NFL starts to his credit in 4 years, and he's played in only 3 games this year, obviously none in a starting role. He's got some ability that I think the Broncos have to respect.
Yeah, he wasn't drafted 3rd overall by accident. He has the tools, and it never really came to fruition in San Francisco. Was he a Cowboy at some point as well in there? So he was a Cowboy last year as well. But yeah, he wasn't drafted there by accident. He obviously has the tool. He has the arm. He has the athletic ability. He has the size. Everything's there. He just needs to hone it in and get the proper coaching, which I think Jim Harbaugh can provide. Jim Harbaugh has been somewhat of a QB whisperer, kind of like what Sean Payton has done, kind of like what Andy Reid and what Kyle Shanahan has done as well. I think all those guys are in a very similar place as far as being able to get the best out of their quarterbacks.
Yeah, and you were talking about the Broncos defense. I think this is an important game for the Broncos defense to kind of just steady the ship a little bit. I don't think the ship is sinking, but it's leaning a little bit to either side. And part of the sack numbers are what Mike Kliss was talking about with the guys earlier on the drive, which is the way offenses and quarterbacks really are getting the ball out quickly. I mean, we saw Marcus Mariota do that for the Commanders and combine that with his running ability to keep that game close. But I would like to see the Broncos defense against a backup quarterback put its foot down. And I'm thinking this might be the week that there's a turnover or 2 created. I think that would be I think this could be the week for that.
Calling your shot on that,
yeah,
Mike.
I am. I feel like the guys up front might be able to get home. I mean, it's been a banged-up Chargers offensive line pretty much all year. And then you've got the inexperience with Lance. And yeah, there's some ability there to respect and be wary of for sure, but I don't want to overplay that either. He hasn't played very much. Hadn't taken very many game snaps really in his career, but even this year. So I think it could be a week where the Broncos defense gets a takeaway or 2.
I like that call, Mike. I'm going to back you on that. I think they also get a takeaway or 2, whether it's a sack, fumble, or interception, maybe one of each.
Maybe. That'd be nice.
I like that call. I think that's what we're going to see on Sunday. out of a motivated Broncos defense. Like I said, I think they've been hearing the criticism the last month or so, and they're going to say, hey, no, this is what we do against a backup quarterback, and have a little momentum going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and you use the word motivated. I think that's a really good one, Dante. I think that the Broncos as a whole are motivated. I think they obviously know what's at stake, and the number one seed is on the line. And I think they also know that they want to not only secure that, but they want to look good. They want to use this as their final tune-up, if you will, final game action before the postseason. They'll get a little bit of time off to heal up, as you said, with the bye, assuming they win or assuming that somehow they secure the number one seed. And I think it is important for the group to play well and go in on a positive note. And I think that tone is one that Sean has set. And he set from, I mean, you go back to his Monday press conference when he talked about, I heard the caps or the T-shirts for the division title were kind of ugly. It was absolute downplay of all of that. And I love that because there are bigger fish to fry for this team now.
Do you think that's actually downplaying it and they're going to be able to get up for this game? Because there is something in the NFL and sports in general, when you're facing a backup quarterback, or in the NBA when the other team's best player is not playing, that you can kind of just take your foot off the gas a little bit. Do you think that they'll be able to manufacture that motivation? Or do you think the motivation's real, I guess, is the other part of it? Or do you think they can come out flat?
Well, I think they could come out flat. I mean, we've seen this team sort of play to whatever level of the opponent and even below the level of the opponent at times. I mean, some of the games that they fell behind in that you referenced, that they had to rally almost miraculously. But I think knowing that the number one seed is on the line, if that can't serve as a motivating factor for the Broncos, then I'll be disappointed. I really would be. I would be disappointed if they came out flat. And again, I don't know that they're going to play perfect football. I don't know that they're going to win by 4 touchdowns. They haven't shown that ability yet to do it, even when seemingly all of us think they should. But if they come out just flat and not playing well at all, and not taking shots, and not looking like they're in a rhythm, and not looking like they're interested, that would surprise me. Because for the times that they haven't played well, again, in my opinion, I don't think it's been primarily an effort issue. I think it's been an execution issue for the most part.
I'm kind of coupling those together because I'm not necessarily going to say it's a full effort issue, but I think if you're missing some of the short passes, if you're not able to establish the run, I'm going to kind of link that all into effort and execution.
Okay.
So when I say effort, I do mean both cases in that scenario.
On the RamosLaw.com text line from the 8818, in terms of the one seed, does it concern anyone else that we came out extremely flat against Washington after the regular season bye? I'm assuming this would be looking ahead to the divisional round of the playoffs if the Broncos get a bye. First thing, obviously, they have to get it. But no, to me, you want that bye. You want 2 home games potentially to get to the Super Bowl. So would they have to play better than they did against Washington in the divisional round if it comes to that? Yeah, I think that'd be a fair statement. But that in no way affects at least my desire to see the Broncos get that number one seed.
Not my.
Are you rolling your eyes a little?
No. Not my desire for them to get the one seed, but I think that when you're facing a backup quarterback, like I said, it's natural to not have that same level of focus and that same level of execution out there. So it wouldn't surprise me if they come out flat.
But I want to go back to something because this is where I'm a little confused by what you said there, which I understand. I get that. But after the Kansas City game, you were a little disappointed that they didn't take care of business against a third-string quarterback.
Exactly same situation.
But I mean, they didn't. That's a situation where if you're going to give a little leeway against the Chargers, maybe they weren't as motivated against the Chiefs, which I don't think is the case.
Well, and that's my point, is that I don't think they had the right mindset going into either of those games. And that's why I'm not sure they're going to have the right mindset going into this game.
Man, so you're questioning their mindset after all this after all the examples of their resilience and resolve,
but
and
there's as many
execution in clutch situations.
But there's as many examples I could point to of not performing the way you should too. So and that's why the 2025-2026 Broncos are this roller coaster of a team. They're very hard to predict and talk about because you don't really know what version of them you're going to get from a week in to week out basis.
I will say that there have been games. I mean, even coming off the London game with the Giants coming into town, there was all kinds of talk about, that's a difficult challenge, but the Giants are struggling, and the Broncos defense should have a pretty good day, and they had to rally with a miraculous fourth quarter as one example. So it has been a team that has been mystifying in the ability to keep games closer than maybe we all think they should be.
Exactly. I think it's what you pointed out, too, is they play to their opponent a lot because that first matchup with the Chiefs, where the Chiefs really needed that game, Denver played a great game here at home in Empower Field at Mile High. Same with the Houston game. I thought they had a pretty good game against Houston. The second half of Philly, obviously. The Green Bay game, that was a very hyped-up game going into it. People were saying could be a Super Bowl preview, and that's when we get the best version of the Broncos. We don't get the best version of the Broncos when they're facing a backup quarterback or a game that people aren't hyping up as much. And I think this game could fall into the category of a game people aren't hyping up as much.
Well, here's another thought from Mike on the RamosLaw.com text line. The Chargers don't want to win this game. If they win, they'll be playing we don't know. They'll be playing the Ravens and John Harbaugh next week. If they lose, the brothers can't play each other until the AFC Championship game. I don't know about that.
I don't know either. Will presented that tinfoil hat theory earlier this week on the show as well. I don't know if I buy into that. I think they are looking out for what's best for each individual team. I don't think they're concerned about running into each other early on in the playoffs.
Well, and while I am picking the Ravens to beat the Steelers on the road, they still have to go beat the Steelers on the road. And as inconsistent as the Ravens have been, I don't know that that's a given. Question, because we know that Bo needs, 210 yards to hit 4,000?
Correct.
Does he get it?
I think he does. I think Sean Payton likes to throw the ball a lot, and especially since J.K. Dobbins went down, Bo has performed really well for the most part. So I think Sean Payton likes to put the ball in the hands of his quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised if Bo Nix has 35-plus attempts in this game, and that would, to me, pretty easily equate to getting that 210 yards, getting him to the 4,000-yard mark on the season.
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's no lock, right? When it comes to statistics, you just don't know how a game goes. But that's as close to a lock for me as I could think of going into this game. I think Bo eclipses 210, unless RJ and Jaleel get off to a hot start and go crazy and keep that kind of pace up in the running game, which I still think Sean's going to throw the ball because that's who he is. I mean, to your point, Dante.
Can't help himself.
No, he can't help himself, and I think he wants to see Bo crack 4,000. I think he wants to see potentially Troutman get his 5 grabs, Cortland get his 100 yards, and get a career high in that department.
Are you worried that we're talking about this incentives and the Bo Nix 4K mark too much? And not us specifically, but do you think those conversations going on in the Broncos facility and maybe not focusing on the game at hand?
No, here's what
they're kind of taking it for granted.
No, well, as fans, we can have those discussions, and that makes it fun. But my gut tells me that internally the Broncos are saying, okay, here's the game plan, and they're aware of what the incentives are in case those opportunities come up at some point during the game. Do I think that Sean Payton devised a game plan that first and foremost gave them a chance to win, but also included in that is getting Adam Troutman 5 catches? I don't think that. But if the game unfolds in such a way that they have a bigger lead, do I think Sean will try to get guys their incentives? I do. And I think he should. But I think he only should if they're comfortably ahead later in the game.
I see where you're coming from, but I'm just not sure Sean Payton is going to see it the same way.
So you think he's
kind of baking it into the game plan.
You think so?
I think he's almost taking the game for granted. Hey, we're facing Trey Lance. It's going to be a lot of backups out there. Myron Hampton's not playing for the Chargers, and it's at home. We've played really well at home, we being the Broncos. I think he's kind of baking it into the game plan. I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Troutman has 3 catches by halftime. And that would not be a natural part of the game plan, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, if the Chargers are going to keep everything in front of them and play soft zone, for instance, let's say the Chargers defense is similar to that of Kansas City's on Christmas night. Well, then a short pass to the tight end is something that will be part of the offense against a defense that's doing that.
Yes, I agree with that short passes are part of the game plan at that point, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be schemed for Adam Troutman, who's not exactly the most explosive weapon the Broncos have on offense.
Well, the Broncos MVP was named today by the media. Did they get it right? That's next.
Denver and Los Angeles are squaring off for their final game of the regular season. Kick your football Sunday off in style with Denver Game Day, powered by Common Spirit Health, official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos. Live on Game Day starting 4 hours before kickoff. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Join Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan and Modelo at Mile High Station on Saturday, January 4th from noon to 2:25 p.m. for the Fan Football Pregame Show. Get your head in the game with orange and blue face painting and ice-cold Modelo. Modelo, brewed for full-time fans.
Hey, Broncos country, it's Terrell Davis here. You know, in the game of life, our most valuable asset is our health.
At Fitness Gallery, we have deals everywhere, up to 50% off. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. We have you covered.
Kick off 2026 with your 10-time national champions, your Denver Pioneers hockey team in Magnus Arena, January 2nd and 3rd.
Took it into the offensive end, now taken away. Here's Rieger Lorenz. 2 Tigers got bodied up with each other. Lorenz in front, backhanded, a save made by Americo. The best chance of the night for Denver.
BU will host Maine. Denver Hockey versus Maine, presented by Wendy's. Tickets available online now. See you in 2026.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, finished basements, windows, and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
Hey, it's Mike Evans with Todd Whalen from Advanced Tax Solutions. Well, Todd, it couldn't last forever. The government shutdown is over. The IRS is back and ready to roll. What does that mean for folks who have an IRS bullseye painted on their back?
Well, Mike, we've seen this once before. They were completely closed during the pandemic. And what happened? They came out with their gloves on and started levying people. So now, if you have an IRS problem, it's way better if you can get a solution before you get the levy notice. You have more options, you have more time, we have the ability to do a better job. So if you're ready and it's time to get this IRS problem off your back, now's the time.
All right, Todd, I get it. The IRS is back. They mean business, but you know what? You mean business too. You've been doing this for a long time. You're ready to help folks out with all of their IRS tax issues. Give Advanced Tax Solutions a call today, 303-753-6040. That's 303-753-6040.
Payton Manning here.
Throughout my football career, staying healthy was a big priority, but bumps, bruises, and injuries were part of the game. And for me, it's not just the clinical excellence and expertise that sets a medical team apart. It's also the compassion, kindness, and empathy they show. At Common Spirit Health, healing is quality care and human kindness. And my friends at Common Spirit are teaming up with their partners to spread human kindness and create healthy communities. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
Hey guys, believe it or not, golf season is just around the corner, and that means the newest gear and the latest tech are starting to drop. It's Stoke here from my friends at Embers Golf. If you want to hit the ground running in 2026, now's the time to get dialed in. Book a custom fitting at Embers Golf and experience the newest equipment built to elevate your game. I know, trust me, I got set up last year, and spots fill up fast. So get in, get fit, and get ready to play your best season yet. Get everyone in the family ready for golf season at Embers Golf in Westminster. Embers Golf, ignite your game.
Colorado roads are icy. Accidents happen. When they do, you're in luck with Flanagan Law. I'm Samantha, the personal injury lawyer who stands out from the rest of the guys. Look for the Shamrock. Flanagan Law, your advocate when it matters most.
Whatever you're looking for when you head out into the wild, keep an open mind. Sometimes the real treasure is the journey itself. Sure enough, there's treasure out there. Sometimes it's something you didn't expect to find. And more often than not, it's as simple as the memories you make. Make some memories of your own with a new vehicle from Corwin Toyota. Family driven for over 100 years.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by Roller Auctions.
It's a Bud Light Football Friday. Bud Light, an official beer sponsor of the Denver Broncos. Here's Denver Sports Tonight.
Mike Rice, Dante Gomez getting you into the weekend. Glad you are with us for Denver Sports Tonight. Broncos and Chargers to close out the regular season Sunday at Empower Field at Mile High. Broncos with a win will clinch the top seed in the AFC. The AFC West is already in their back pocket. First division title since 2015. All right, the media, as you may have heard our Broncos insider Mike Kliss tell Zach and Phil on the drive earlier, the media that primarily covers the Broncos on a day-in and day-out basis today named outside linebacker Nick Bonito as the winner of the Demaryius Thomas Team MVP Award. Now, Pat Surtain II had won it the 3 previous years, 2022, 3, and 4. Bonito captures it this year. Dante, if you had had a vote, would you have voted for Nick Bonito?
Absolutely. If it was a first half MVP award, hands down, Nick Bonito gets it.
Okay, but
if it's a full season MVP award, maybe not.
Who would you have voted for if you had to pick a Broncos MVP?
I think it might be Bo.
Yeah, for me it'd be Bo.
If J.K. Dobbins was healthy all year, I think Dobbins could be in the running. I think Bonito's production just fell off too much for me in the last month or so, to the point where I don't think he would be as deserving as Bo, where Bo was the central reason they've won a lot of these games in the last month. So I would have gone with Bo, but I don't think necessarily, I guess he's a bad option to win it.
No, I mean, the defense carried the play, and for the most part was absolutely the more consistent unit, the more dominating unit, all of that. Anyone who's followed the Broncos knows that. And so from that standpoint, I'm not going to die on the hill that it shouldn't have been Bonito, but I think when I think of an MVP of the Broncos this year, I think of what one player do the Broncos have to have in order to have a chance to win that game, or to have the kind of season that they did. And to me, it was Bo this year. And again, look, the quarterback's low-hanging fruit for an award like the MVP. We all know that. But, 3,790 yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, the ability in the clutch, the never say die, the leadership qualities, all of that, to me, speaks to he was their most important player. And once he got through his kind of ragged start, I think we saw definite improvement out of Bo in year 2, year over year from his rookie season. And for those reasons, my vote would have gone to Bo.
Yes, I think he carried you to some wins this year. Even if you want to count the Philly game, if you want to count the Giants game, obviously performed pretty well in other games sprinkled in there. The Cincinnati game was, not Joe Burrow on the other end of the field, but Bo did his job in that game. So I think it would have been Bo. And it's kind of turned from last season to this season for me in terms of Bo Nix going, you're winning with Bo Nix to you're winning because of Bo Nix. And I think that's a big differentiator when it comes to quarterback play.
Yeah, right. And those who would pound the table for Benito, I think would have a case from the standpoint of, look, there were chunks of games that, while yes, Bo led a comeback, that the inconsistent performances offensively, might lead someone to say a defensive performer would be more appropriate because the defense by and large was more consistent. I think you bring up an interesting point from the standpoint of the sack total and also just the general way the defense has played since the bye week. It hasn't been as dominating. There's been a lot of conversation about that. That is a point of contention for me. I think it is another reason why I think, as you were speaking of earlier, Dante, with this Chargers game, I want to see the defense put its foot down. I want to see the defense come up with a performance that is a little bit more along the lines of what we all want and what they want against a backup quarterback and a team that's going to be down prominent players because of where they are in the playoff picture.
Yeah, and sorry, I was going to say, I like a couple texts we have here on the text line, too. From the 6005, MVP is Bowles, hands down. I actually wasn't on the top of my mind, but I don't know if they have the same record they do without Bowles playing as consistently as he has throughout the year. So I think another good candidate would have been Garrett Bowles as well. A little more understated. Obviously, he's an offensive lineman, doesn't quite get that pop that some of the skill positions do, like a Nick Benito or Bo Nix.
Yeah, Colton weighing in with that. That's a good thought for sure. I mean, Bowlesy has really cut down on the penalties. He's given up one sack this year. It's been crazy how good he's been in pass pro and overall. I like this text too, going back to what we think the Chargers are going to do on the RamosLaw.com text line from the 4654. I don't buy Jim Harbaugh conceding this game. Herbert will sit for sure, but the rest will play. Defense will look like they can't stop anyone, and we will be biting our nails hoping Knicks can produce 3 touchdowns. At this point, I think they are who they are. I'm going to pick the Broncos to win by double digits, but Dante, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's a one-possession game. I think the texter has it right from this, even though I'm not going to pick that way, because I'm going to hold out for one more week, hoping that the Broncos prove me wrong. But this has been a Broncos team that just finds a way to win that game, even if it looks ugly, smells ugly, feels ugly, and just kind of goes into the column of we still have a lot to figure out and improve upon.
Yeah, I think I see it going. They're in control of the game for majority of it. And maybe the Chargers score a touchdown at the end to make it less than double digits, but I don't think we're questioning the Broncos win with the final 10 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Here's going back to the Benito conversation on the RamosLaw.com text line from the 3603. Guys, even though his stat sheet isn't as good in the second half of the season, why do you think teams are throwing out of 3-step drops all day and keeping it quick? It's because Benito doesn't show up. I don't quite understand the text.
I think the end of it I didn't quite understand.
Right.
But I think the rest of it makes sense that he's impacting them, not the opposing offenses and their quarterbacks, not in terms of sack numbers, but in terms of getting the ball out quickly. And to that, I would say, why aren't there more turnovers for this Broncos defense then? If it's so easy to know that they're going to be 3-step drops and the ball's getting out, that should help these corners, these safeties, be able to jump some of these routes. And we haven't really seen that come to fruition either.
We're going to see it this week. We're going to see it this week.
Okay, Mike, I like it.
Yeah. How many turnovers? I say 2.
You're going to go 2?
Going 2. 2 or more.
I'll play it safe. I'll just go with 1.
Okay. But you're feeling a turnover.
I think the Broncos will get 1.
I do too. We'll pick the game. We'll have our predictions here in our final segment. We'll also get caught up on the college football playoff as the semifinals are set. how many of the 4 teams do you have left as we sort of channel our March Madness bracket? That's next.
Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Denver Sports 1043 to stay up to date on all your local teams. Denver Sports 1043. The Fan.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Annuities, not advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code HEAT to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hi, it's Chuck Devine with SnowCountry.com, presented by Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. Little bit of fresh snow in the mountains where some spots will see snow showers throughout the day, and Loveland with a couple inches of fresh snow. 19 trails, plenty of groom, novice, and intermediate terrain for Loveland, and Winter Park now on 40 slopes. Both spots with a couple inches of fresh snow, and same for Cooper. They're on nearly 40 trails, mostly ungroomed terrain in variable conditions. Copper Mountain with a couple inches of fresh snow and 3 dozen pack powder trails. Monarch on 70% of their terrain with a 1.5-foot snowpack. They just got a couple inches of fresh snow. And Wolf Creek on 144 trails covering 42 miles. It was snowing heavily at Wolf Creek at the crack of dawn on Friday. In Wyoming, Jackson Hole with 14 feet of fresh snow so far this season. They're on 78 trails. Grand Targhee, 86-pack powder trails, and 60 are groomed at Grand Targhee. Get more at snowcountry.com.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner. Men, I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today and stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition, and it's fully treatable. And at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Thinking about buying a home in Colorado? You're not the only one. And now might be your best shot. We're officially in a buyer's market, guys, which means you've got the upper hand. More homes on the market, competition is down, and serious deals are out there just waiting to be found. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking to upgrade or downsize, now's the time to get pre-approved. And American Financing can make that happen in 24 hours or less. Interest rates are competitive, and home prices have been stable. That means you can find a great deal while locking in a monthly payment that fits your budget. Plus, with home equity building over time, your investment grows, making home ownership a smart, long-term financial decision. If you continue to pay rent, you're just paying your landlord's mortgage, and you don't need 20% down. You could be in your new home with as little as 3% down. Plus, they offer down payment assistance programs to make home ownership even easier. So call American Financing at 303-695-7000 or visit them online at americanfinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by TradeGen Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors.
Stay up to date on the Broncos with our 9 News Broncos insider Mike Kliss. Presented by Fitness Gallery. Hear the latest from every practice and every game every single week during football season. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. It's a Bud Light Football Friday. Bud Light, an official beer sponsor of the Denver Broncos. Here's Denver Sports Tonight.
Mike and Dante on a Friday night. Wrapping things up. College football playoff down to the semifinals. Oregon whitewashes Texas Tech 23-0. So the 5-seeded Ducks move on to play the top-seeded Indiana Hoosiers next Friday in the Peach Bowl. Indiana just blasted Alabama 38-3. Ole Miss rallied to beat Georgia 39-34, and Miami tripped number 2 Ohio State 24-14. So those two winners will meet in the Fiesta Bowl down in your old stomping grounds in Tempe, Dante, and that will be next Thursday, January 8th. I did not see Miami beating Ohio State. I have respect for Miami, but I just thought Ohio State would have too much, and I certainly didn't see Ole Miss beating Georgia, let alone rallying the way that the Rebels did in the second half. I had Georgia winning the whole thing, and I'm sitting here with egg on my face.
Well, me too. You can join me because I had Ohio State winning the whole thing.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought Miami was going to give them a great game, and obviously they did do that, even to a further point where they won by double digits. So I thought it was going to be a 7-point game that Miami loses, but they were going to really test Ohio State, and at the end of the playoffs, after Ohio State goes on to win the whole thing, people were going to say, oh, we respected Miami because they pushed Ohio State in that quarterfinal game. Obviously not the case. Miami moves on. Now they have Ole Miss, which is going to be a great matchup too. I also had Georgia. My two champions, if you could have told me before the tournament, you can take Georgia and Ohio State versus the field, I would have taken Georgia and Ohio State.
Yeah.
That's how confident I was in both of those teams. Clearly did not go that way. So Trinidad Chambliss, though, that Ole Miss quarterback, my goodness, he's like Kyler Murray, but taller and better, maybe 6'1", so more of an NFL prospect than Kyler was. Obviously, Kyler was drafted first, but maybe more longevity in an NFL career there. But he just runs around. He makes every throw you can want. I think the broadcast pointed this out, but it's like he's playing point guard out there. He's just distributing the ball wherever he wants, whenever he wants. Was very impressed with him.
There's plenty about the portal and the calendar and all that I don't like in college football. Plenty that's broken, I guess. But the fact that he won a Division II national championship with Ferris State and Michigan last year, and then now has Ole Miss into the college football playoff semifinals and is 2 wins away from an FBS title, that's crazy. What a great story.
That's the system working, and exactly what you're saying there. Same thing with, who was the number 1 pick this last year? The Tennessee Titans quarterback, Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Cam Ward, same thing.
Yeah.
He started at Incarnate Word, went to Washington State, went to Miami, had the ability to get drafted first overall. In the old days, I don't think that's happening. If you use that Incarnate Word for, even if you started Incarnate Word, you're not going to be drafted first overall. It's just not how it works. So I think there are definitely some positives to the new system that is going in college football.
I had a hunch that Indiana was the best team in the field, and now I am thoroughly convinced. I did pick Georgia to win it, but there's zero doubt in my mind. Now, I don't know if Indiana's going to win. I mean, obviously, of the 2 games that are left, I picked the Hoosiers to win 2, but they were really impressive. And they were the one team that had a bye and took care of business. The calendar and the time between the games renders the bye not only meaningless, but I think detrimental, you could make the case. And certainly the results have proven that out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at it, teams that have the bye are 1-7. Indiana's the only team that was able to muster out a win. And obviously they go on and do it by, 20, 30 points there. So wasn't even a very competitive game for them. I don't know what they did differently than what these other teams are doing, but it's working for Curt Cignetti and those Hoosiers. And in the post-game press conference, it kind of just smacked me across the face. Curt Cignetti sounds so much like what Nick Saban used to sound like, even down to the cadence of his voice, the little accent he has in his voice, but the things that he's talking about and the fine details that he pays attention to, it reminded me a lot of what Nick Saban used to say in those interviews.
This guy's just incredible. The story that he is writing, and he's actually right. I don't know if you saw the post-game interview when Reese Davis had him on the podium on the ESPN coverage, and he asked him just about what they've been able to do and what Coach Cignetti has been able to do to turn this program around so dramatically, and he said it'd be a hell of a movie, wouldn't it? And that was like, okay, we're in Pasadena, we're in the backyard of Hollywood there.
See, that was the only thing he said that I was like, that Nick Saban would never have said that.
Well, of course, Saban wouldn't have said that, but the point is it really is remarkable what Cignetti has been able to do. And it just goes to show when you have a talent and then that talent meets the right opportunity, and Indiana's been the right opportunity for him. It's been crazy. The Indiana-Oregon game is going to be a rematch of the one in Eugene, which was close, and Indiana won that. I still like the Hoosiers. Someone's going to have to show me they can beat Indiana in this playoff.
I agree with you. I was not a believer of Indiana, so I'm going to stick to that side of the bandwagon and hope that Oregon can take them out and make me look a little smarter. Because if not, I mean, Curt Cignetti in Indiana, I don't know what's stopping them. They look so fundamentally sound, well coached, and they have the athletes to get it done. Maybe they don't have the best athletes in the country, but they have good enough athletes to get it done with the excellence they have at coaching.
Yeah, and they're really good in the clutch. There's just zero panic. That probably is a combination of talent and character and preparation and all those good things. As you know, Dante, we talked about it earlier in the year when I had the chance to go to the Indiana-Penn State game at State College, and the way the Hoosiers just calmly marched down the field. And again, I get it. Penn State, their season kind of crumbled in more ways than one, but that's still an impressive win. And are you picking Oregon to beat IU in the semis?
I don't know what to do because I was so anti-Fernando Mendoza. I like Cignetti, and I just didn't think they were for real. For real, I thought Ohio State was going to come back and beat them.
Moment of truth. Are they for real?
Again, I feel like I can't hop on the bandwagon now, so I'll go with Oregon.
Oh, not yet, huh? And are you going?
I'm going to pick against them every round of the way.
There you go.
I'll pick my Hurricanes over them in the title game if that's what it is.
Okay, so you've got Miami to beat Ole Miss?
I do. I think they're playing really good football, and Mario Cristobal, the way he builds teams through the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, that's what wins football games in college and the NFL. He's got that part figured out. Carson Beck's playing at a high enough level to go out and win. And then they have the athletes on the outside, too. Miami's never struggled getting athletes as far as wide receivers go. So they obviously always had that part, and then their D-line. Their D-line is a NFL D-line. So you're going to hear a lot of those guys in the next 3 to 4 years in the NFL that are, top 10 in sacks going forward. I think Ruben Bain Jr.?
Yeah.
That guy is a monster.
Yeah. It's interesting. So you've got Oregon against Miami with Miami winning it all?
I'll go with Oregon.
Okay, so you've got Oregon over Miami in the title game.
I'll go with Oregon over Miami.
And I'm going to go totally opposite of you. Indiana to beat Ole Miss. I have a ton of respect for Miami, and that win over Ohio State, the way they were able to do it, that pick six was incredible. Early game-changing play, tone-setting kind of play, which was just incredible. But I think Ole Miss has got the mojo going, and I think they've got a special run going, and I don't think it's going to end, but it will in the title game when Indiana wins it all, because I just can't pick against the Hoosiers till I see it. Who you got, Broncos and Chargers?
I'll go Broncos by 12.
You want to throw a score out there? Make sure
you go
it's 12.
first, then I'll do
all right,
some
I'm going to say Look, my gut tells me, maybe it's going to be close again, but I just think the Broncos are going to come out focused and ready, and I just don't know what kind of push the Chargers are going to be able to sustain. 27-10 Broncos.
I'm going 27-15.
Okay.
I wrote it down before you did, so I'm not copying you there.
No, I love it. Dante, thank you. Enjoy the weekend.
Absolutely. I'm excited to do this. Hopefully after Broncos win, and we could preview a first round of playoffs that doesn't include the Broncos.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A number 1 seed and a bye. Wouldn't that be something? We'll talk to you Monday. Make it a great weekend. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's Denver Sports Tonight on 104.3 The Fan.
Will the Broncos avenge their early season loss to the Chargers and roll into the postseason with a win? We'll break it all down in the Fan Football Postgame Show, presented by Modelo, live on game day from Mile High Station starting 2 hours before kickoff. Denver Sports 104.3